I hope Rian Johnson and Daniel Craig get together to make at least a dozen more of these movies.
Lock the doors.
Stay in your rooms.
Everyone
Is in danger.
Hey guys, I'm Sean O'Connell, the managing director here at CinemaBlend, reporting to you from the 2022 Toronto International Film Festival, where all of the coolest films have been coming up here quite often for world premieres. And that is the case with the sequel to Rian Johnson's Knives Out film. This one's called Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery. I'm going to tell you all the reasons why I think that this movie is actually better than the original film. So to make sure that you are keeping up to date with everything we're doing up here from Toronto, hit subscribe, turn on your notifications, and you will be the first ones to hear when we drop a new video.
All right, when's the murder mystery start?
I have to start this review of Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery with Daniel Craig returning to the role of Benoit Blanc. And honestly, I want to see Daniel Craig and Rian Johnson make 1,000 of these movies because the two of them seem to be having such a great time, both with this character and the different worlds that they are dropping him into. If you don't remember from Knives Out, Benoit Blanc is a detective who finds himself at locations where some type of elaborate murder mystery is taking place. And in the case of Glass Onion, he actually gets invited to a private island off the coast of Greece where a tech billionaire played by Ed Norton is going to be staging his own sort of complicated murder mystery game for his close friends, and then things escalate from there. But it's so refreshing to see Daniel Craig return to this role because you could tell that he's just having such a blast slipping back into the shoes of Benoit Blanc, and how it's so different than anything Craig has done up to this point. No matter what happens from here on out, and however many Knives Out movies that Daniel Craig makes, he's always going to be associated with James Bond. However, I do think that the second most popular character and beloved character that he's done is Benoit Blanc, especially after seeing the way that he falls back into the rhythms of this really unique and colorful character for the benefit of this murder mystery. And it's actually jarring to me when I first caught up with him because I hadn't seen Knives Out in a long time. And Blanc has this sort of Louisiana accent, a lilt to his delivery. His dialogue is, of course, extremely smart. He's usually one of the smartest people in the room who's able to decipher everything that's happening in a given scenario before it even plays out. But Craig is able to sort of balance this, yes, I'm really, really smart, but I'm not better than you type thing. That works incredibly well for the character. And he's really charming with everybody else in the cast. It just comes to him so naturally. And so because I think Craig is so good in this part, and because you can take Benoit Blanc and drop him into almost any scenario, this is a franchise that could keep going for several years because it's not really following the rules of franchises. It doesn't bring back multiple characters. It really just brings back Blanc. It surrounds him with some really funny cameos that I don't want to give too much about, but you should know that there's going to be some really great laughs waiting for you. This is just a perfect role for Daniel Craig, and the way that he collaborates with Rian Johnson, the two of them bouncing ideas off of each other, and the way everything sort of snaps together over the course of this story with Blanc, at the heart of it, is a big reason, a huge reason why I think Glass Onion does as well as it does, and probably even better than the first movie. I want to elaborate a little bit more why I think Glass Onion is superior to the original Knives Out in our next section.
Will you explain it to us then, detective?
All right, I want to start this section by saying something that's going to be pretty boisterous, which is that I think Glass Onion is superior to the original Knives Out. And I'm going to explain to you why, but without going into really specific plot details and spoilers. I want to keep spoilers out of this review so you guys can feel safe to go on and watch it, because I honestly believe that it is an experience that you should have going into it as clean as possible and being able to go along for the ride with the various twists and turns that are waiting for you in this story. However, what I can say is that I feared going into Glass Onion as an audience member that Rian Johnson was kind of making this movie because he had to, because the first movie was so popular and the demand for a sequel or a follow-up story was so high that he figured, okay, I gotta go back to this and try to figure out another murder mystery for Benoit Blanc to solve. However, this screenplay is so airtight and is so well constructed that it stands on its own completely and doesn't have to be associated to Knives Out at all. It's really its own type of story. It's so different from what he tried to do in the first Knives Out movie. Yes, it's Benoit Blanc, and yes, it's a colorful array of really unusual characters who have different motivations for the murder that takes place at the heart of the film. But beyond that, it's completely different from what you've seen in Knives Out, and Daniel Craig and Rian Johnson are playing it differently in a way that helps it to sustain the momentum that it needs going forward. The cast, I cannot say enough great things about. Edward Norton is the tech billionaire that I mentioned earlier, whose private island is playing host to this murder mystery. And when Edward Norton plays egotistical jerks, he's great. Like, he fits that mold really well. And I think when Edward Norton is collaborating with a director that he seems to have a lot of respect for, you get a better performance out of him. He's terrific. Kate Hudson basically steals the show from everybody else, playing this social influencer with a finger in the fashion world, who is tough to sort of figure out where she's coming from and where she's going, but is a character that you are going to love by the end of this film. Same thing with Janelle Monáe. Janelle Monáe, honestly, is the MVP of this ensemble, and I didn't know what to expect from her character. A lot of stuff about her, details about her character, are being kept under wraps, and all I'll say is that there's a big reason for that, but you have to go into the movie to figure out what it is. The change of location is really fantastic for this. I love the fact that they set it on the Grecian island, and the compound that Edward Norton's billionaire has created is infinitely fascinating, with all these different things to pay attention to on multiple viewings. It looks opulent. It has a bit of a, because Craig is in it, it has a bit of a 007 sort of international flavor to it. And just, again, picking it up from the wintry setting of the initial Knives Out, the sort of cold New England type atmosphere, and bringing it to this sun-drenched Grecian island helps set a different tone for the mystery that's being told here. And you just, with any murder mystery, you want to see all of the pieces snap together like a clean puzzle. And I, again, worried that because Rian Johnson was going back into this world, maybe because of just the popularity of the first Knives Out, that we weren't going to get as satisfying of a murder mystery, and especially as satisfying as a conclusion. But all of those things are waiting for you in Glass Onion. It is a spectacular story with 100 twists that are waiting to completely knock you back on your heels. You're never really sure where it's going until the very, very end. And I applaud Rian Johnson for putting together an exquisite follow-up to his initially great murder mystery movie.
Ladies and gentlemen,
This is it.
you expected the mystery.
As you can tell, I loved Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery. I'm going as far as to say that this is a 5-star movie. It's a complete delight from start to finish, a wild ride, and a perfect return to the world of Benoit Blanc. As I mentioned at the top of this, I hope Rian Johnson and Daniel Craig get together to make at least a dozen more of these movies. I will keep showing up as long as Benoit has a meaty case to get into and a mystery that he can chew over. You have to check this out when it comes to Netflix. It's also getting a theatrical release, so pay attention to CinemaBlend for when those dates are revealed and when people can go see Knives Out for themselves. In addition, we're still going to be reporting from the Toronto International Film Festival, so as I mentioned earlier, hit subscribe and turn on your notifications. Whenever a new review video drops, you guys will come on over and be the first ones to watch it.